Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning into another Supatease video. And it's tier list time. And with the official release of Midnight, beyond the pre-release, I wanted to share my experience with which specializations are looking like monsters when it comes to world PvP. So if you're just starting in alt or just starting in general with now the official release from the pre-release, and you want to pick a specialization that's going to be a monster for leveling and a world PvP experience, then this tier list should help you kind of zone in on what's going to be the best option to deliver you success. And as always, if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. But let's get started here. There's a lot of specializations. So Affliction Warlock, when it comes to max level, like rated PvP on previous tier lists, I've been rating it, at the bottom. But I do think with Drain Life PvP talent builds, you can actually be decent at dueling. You're not completely abysmal. I think you can actually be decent in 1v1 situations. Not the absolute best, because there's a couple of specs that will just absolutely trounce you. I'm curious to see how well you could do into something like Guardian Druid, because Guardian Druid is just so prominent at the moment. But in general, I think you can make it work. There's some cheeky things you can do with gateways and Z-axis and world PvP that can be fun, but it's honestly mostly just Drain Life. Drain Life is just carrying you at the moment as far as your own self-sustainability and the absorption effects that you have. Arcane Mage, it's not as good as Frost or Fire, but it's not terrible when it comes to 1v1. You're pretty good into a lot of these melee DPS specializations that are very potent at the moment. You will struggle into Hunters. I wouldn't suggest picking a fight with a Hunter in open field, but I do think Arcane is actually pretty decent when it comes to dueling and the leveling experience with Arcane Orbs, the Arcane Orb build, and just barraging mobs down and then being able to go into 1v1s almost immediately afterwards. I think it's really good. Now, unfortunately, Arms Warrior, you're not saved here either in World PvP. We're just quickly locking you into D tier. Damage output just not there to compete with a lot of the better melee DPS at the moment in terms of performance. It's going to be a struggle. You're probably going to want to switch to Fury if you are going to be leveling as Warrior. I mean, you could do it if you want, but do it knowing that you might be miserable if you pick any fights. You might want to just be hiding in a corner when it comes to world PvP. Assassination Rogue, not as potent for leveling. Maybe it gets better as you get more talents, but at the beginning stages of it, I think Subtlety is just going to deliver you a much smoother experience. It's probably still better than Warrior because you are a rogue. You have Cloak of Shadows and Vanish still. You can escape from situations, kind of all-in people, unlike Arms Warrior, but I think you're going to struggle a bit with this one. Augmentation Evoker, I would not recommend. I don't think its single target sustain is great. It wasn't really great in like team play, and then obviously for like 1v1 situations. Maybe it's not Warrior though. I don't think it's a Warrior. I think we got to maybe leave this spot just for you. Augmentation, we're going to go up into C tier. Tank specs, these guys are just broken and busted. You just can't die. So either you avoid classes that also can't die and then beat every other class, pretty much, is the name of the game with it. Beast Mastery Hunter, not too insane when it comes to 1v1. It got nerfed a lot throughout the beta. It's kind of fallen off a bit. Brewmaster, probably the best spec, honestly, at the moment. It does remarkable damage, really durable. You can do big multi-pulls, level really fast with this and efficiently, just insanely strong. Feral Druid, not so hot for leveling. Damage is just much lower than a Guardian Druid, and you're squishier. So this is why this tier list is important, because this is not max level PvP. This is like you're level 80 and you're leveling world PvP, and your stats are completely different. They're fluctuating as you're leveling, so the experience is a lot different. Feral Druid does not look too awesome. Boomkin, you can do it, an okay amount of burst, but it's not spectacular. I think Guardian Druid is just outperforming in a large capacity. Devourer Demon Hunter can get a couple of cheesy one-shots. Rogues are going to be your main issue, but I think it's definitely a good option. Demonology Warlock, much like Affliction, it can be very durable in a lot of these situations, but you're probably going to get bulldozed over by Windwalker monks and Ret Paladins and a lot of these tank specializations. So I wouldn't say that it's like the most insane for world PvP, but I do think it's better than Affliction at the moment. Destruction Warlock, not too good. At least for 1v1s, and that's mostly what world PvP is. You're either fighting one person or a bunch of other people. You can get swarmed really easy as Destro, and it's hard to get cast off against them, and these tanks are going to be very difficult. So I think Destruction is going to be like more of a mid-fit as far as leveling is concerned. Devastation Evoker, though, really good. Has a lot of damage with Disintegrate. I honestly kind of want to put it up here. It's really simple, really straightforward, lots of damage. Just fly around, spam Disintegrate. Disc Priest, a really good world PvP spec. A lot of the healers are really OP, and the tanks are really OP. Ellie Shaman, it's probably going to be like mid or low mid. You have an okay amount of like self-healing. You can put up a little bit of a fight during Ascendance, but outside of that, not too spectacular as far as 1v1s. I think bit more in the mid-level. Enhancement Shaman, I've honestly seen like next to none, which makes me think that it can't be doing too good. Shaman in general, just not too fantastic. You do have a decent amount of healing though, so I think that self-healing is going to carry you through a lot of it. So I would say that it's probably at least B tier. Frost DK, you ain't no Unholy DK. You could probably make it work, but Unholy DK is just a monster right now, so I would think it's going to probably ride more on the mid tier. Fire Mage, definitely, I want to say S tier with things like Alter Time, being able to reset your health like that, just blast people down with a combustion, can be really potent. And I think it's a lot easier to pull off than an Arcane Mage. So I think Fire is doing really well right now when it comes to World PvP. Frost is another one I think is doing really well. Just being able to get your AoE stun and then Ray of Frost somebody 100-0 is an amazing combo. And you can always get like a DB Sheep to guarantee it and get the Snowdrift and just absolutely KO somebody. So for me, I think Frost is also kind of, maybe we'll leave it on A tier, but I think it could be S tier. Fury Warrior, it's okay, but not insane. I'm gonna put it up here on the B tier. A little bit more pressure. The cheat death talent is honestly kind of cheeky in World PvP. You actually can kind of actually make it work, unlike in probably most of the other content. But it's just kind of mid at the moment. Havoc Demon Hunter, not too fantastic. Just doesn't have burst damage, honestly, and right now that's like the name of the game. You got to be able to do some pretty big burst, but it does have a decent amount of healing during its meta, so you could do okay with it, but the burst damage is definitely lower. Holy Priest, I would not recommend. It just doesn't have a great way to do damage or be like disruptive, and it's going to be pretty slow overall. Holy Paladin, I would think, is the same when it comes to World PvP. Is like you could probably Avenging Crusader, maybe you could take out some DPS, but it's nowhere near as good as the sustain of a Discipline Priest. Marksmanship Hunter is a decent one. It's got really good burst damage. I'd say I'd put it up here into A tier at the moment. You can snipe people from stealth, catch people off guard with camouflage, which can be a lot of fun. But it can be tough once people start locking you down, and some of these tank specs will just kind of like bulldoze you over a little bit. But I do think it is pretty fun. Mistweaver, another healer that's going to be really broke for this, just with spam fist weaving, and yeah, you're just unkillable while being able to do almost as much damage as DPS, basically. Outlaw Rogue, I've seen very little of. I can't imagine it would be much better than Assassination, though, so I'm going to put it onto C tier, a little bit on the lower side. Subtlety is just so smooth, big burst, tons of cooldowns, great reset, just pull to pull. You always have something to use. Outlaw and Assassination are just a little bit more sluggish in that regard. Preservation Evoker, I think it's probably much like Holy Paladin. Like you could do it, but it's like it's not going to be as great as these guys. Prot Warrior, I've seen like, some tanks are better than others, and Prop might be the weakest tank is my understanding of it right now. I still can't see a tank spec being terrible, so I'm going to put it onto A tier, but I'm going to leave this for the other tanks because they do seem to be a lot better, like Prop Paladin. The self-healing sustain, big burst damage with Templar and Prop Pally can be very scary. Resto Druid actually can be pretty scary because you can go into cat form and do damage. So I'm going to put this onto A tier. I think these guys just continuously having damage that also heals is a little bit more favorable for leveling, but Resto Druid can definitely get some work done in 1v1 situations. Ret Paladin, this is a really good one to go for melee DPS, just very durable, lot of sustain, great burst, great spot for leveling. I've been having a great time on it at the moment. Restoration Shaman, probably avoid, just doesn't have any damage output really. So it's going to be tough to actually, kill anything. You'll probably never die, but you just wouldn't have any offensive fun either. Shadow Priest, the casters, honestly, when it comes to leveling, unless you're like an instant burst class like this, they're just not really as good for World PvP situations. I don't think it's terrible, but it's just not as good. Subtlety Rogue, we're obviously bouncing up onto S tier. These two guys are just absolute monsters when it comes to World PvP, with just resetability and sustain throughout multiple fights. Survival Hunter, I don't think it's too hot. I don't think it's awful, but I don't think it's too hot. I think we're going to put you on B tier along with these guys. You just don't have a lot of healing, so it can get rough as fights extend. Unholy DK, I think, is also an S tier option. Really good for World PvP right now, just crushing it. Vengeance Demon Hunter, I don't see a lot of. I don't think it's probably as good as these guys. I think their damage output's a little higher. Honestly, Blood might not be S tier, but I'm going to put Vengeance here on A tier for now. And then Windwalker is really good as well. So like you got a lot of options here, but you can see that there's a trend. Either you're a tank, so you're just unkillable, but some of these tanks like Guardian and Brewmaster, do giga burst damage. And then when it comes to range, you want really heavy burst. Resetability with fire, I think, is better than Frost and Arcane. Devastation just does lots of damage, can fly around, decent healing. Windwalker's the same deal, really big burst. I'm going to try and put these in like the order that I think that they're strongest from left to right also. So strongest from left to right here. This guy's probably better than that guy. This guy's probably better than these guys. We got the tanks over here. We got Affliction. Do I think Affliction's better than this guy? I think he's better than this guy. That's probably good. These left to right. I think that's probably good. These are just the kind of general vibes that I'm getting, is that if you play these specs, probably avoid healer in general, just because it's like really slow, unless you want to be that guy. But like you'll have fast leveling and really good world PvP with war mode, basically, as pretty much any spec on this top tier. These guys can sort of make it work, but they'll struggle with the guys at the top. Some of these guys towards the bottom, you'll just struggle in general. Against most things, and those are just my thoughts on it. I just want to give this to you guys. So if you're logging in today on launch day and you're like, what spec do I level as? What's the fastest? What's going to be the most fun or enjoyable? These are the vibes that I've gotten from leveling myself, playing against them, and seeing other people playing at the same time. So I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Thank you guys very much for supporting the channel as always, and I will see you on the next one.